मुख्य अध्यक्ष महोदय का सम्मान करेंगे। जनरल सम्राट सलामी। पीछे हो जाइए सर।
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल तव शुभ नामे जागे। जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय जय जय
पीछे जाओ। Sybil and Ms. Rachna Shrivastava to kindly escort Honorable the Chief Justice of India along with Mr. Arjun Ram Meghwalji, Minister for Law and Justice, and Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, on the dais. I request Mr. Sushil Kumar Tomar, our Joint Treasurer, Supreme Court Bar Association, to kindly present a bouquet to Honorable Mr. Justice. I request all members to kindly be seated, please. I request all of you to kindly sit down, please. Yogmaya Tushar. I request Mr. Sushil Kumar Tomar, Joint Treasurer, Supreme Court Bar Association, to present a bouquet of flowers to Honorable Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India. I request Mr. Mukesh Kumar Singh, Member Executive, Supreme Court Bar Association, to present a bouquet of flowers to Mr. Arjun Ram Meghwal, Honorable Minister for Law and Justice. I request Ms. M.G. Yogmaya to present a bouquet of flowers to Learned Solicitor General of India, Mr. Tushar Mehta. I request Ms. Rachna Shrivastava, Vice President, Supreme Court Bar Association, to kindly give her welcome address.
Thank you, Vikrant. Namaskar. Honorable Justice Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal, Union Minister of State for Law and Justice, Shri Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, Shri Kapil Sibal, President, Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Vikrant Yadav, Honorary Secretary, SCBA, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, Honorable Judges of the High Court, distinguished ambassadors, high commissioners,
law officers, senior advocates, office bearers and members of the Executive Committee of SCBA, office bearers and members of the Executive Committee of SCORA, Mr. Vipin Nair, President SCORA, Mr. Amit Sharma, Vice President SCORA, Mr. Nikhil Jain, Secretary SCORA, Learned Secretary General, Supreme Court of India, President and Secretaries and Office Bearers of various Bar Associations, my colleagues at the Bar, my junior colleagues, senior advocates, friends, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to all and heartiest greetings on the occasion of National Festival of 78th Independence Day. Today we have gathered to celebrate a momentous occasion in our nation's history, a day of great significance that marks the birth of our nation and the dawn of our freedom. It also marks the triumph of human spirit, the resilience of our people, and enduring power of freedom. As we stand here together on this Independence Day, let us take a moment to reflect on the journey that has brought us to this point and the values that continue to guide us forward. On this day, 77 years ago, our forefathers and foremothers, standing united, regardless of their differences, laid down the foundation of a new nation rooted in the ideals of liberty, justice, and equality for all. Their courage, vision, and unwavering belief in the power of the people ignited a flame of hope that has continued to burn brightly through the years. Independence was not easily won. It was the result of tireless struggle, immense sacrifice, and unyielding desire for self-determination. The heroes of our independent movement, whose names are etched in the annals of history, fought bravely against oppression, tyranny, believing that the right to govern ourselves was not just a privilege but a fundamental human right. The history of freedom struggle would be incomplete without mentioning the saga of sacrifice, selflessness, and bravery of hundreds of women who exhibited their true spirit and undismayed courage. Rani Lakshmibai to Bhimabhai Holkar, Madam Bhimkarji Kama to Sarojini Naidu, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, Mridula Sarabhai, A.V. Kuttu Malamba in Kerala, Durga Bhai Deshmukh in Madras Presidency, who later became a member of the Constituent Assembly, Rameshwari Nehru, V. Ambani in Uttar Pradesh, Satyavati Devi, Subhadra Joshi, Sucheta Kriplani, who was also a member of the Constituent Assembly, Hansa Mehta, Usha Mehta in Bombay, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur in Kapurthala are few prominent names. Besides them, thousands of women fought side by side with their male counterparts by breaking away from various restrictions out of their rational, traditional roles and responsibilities. I am proud granddaughter of one such woman. My late grandmother was an active freedom fighter who took part in the Quit India movement and was arrested and put in jail with a 3-month-old baby in her lap. As we celebrate this day, we must remember that independence is not just a moment in time, but an ongoing commitment to the principles upon which our nation was founded. It is not just remembering the past, but also about looking forward to the future. It is a reminder that the freedoms that we enjoy today are hard-earned and must be vigilantly protected and nurtured for the future generations. In the years since our independence, we have faced challenges that have tested our resolve and unity. We have seen times that have brought us pride, and we have endured hardships that have demanded our resilience. Through it all, we have remained steadfast, guided by the belief that our nation's strength lies in its people, in our diversity, in our shared values, and in our collective dreams. Bar and bench are two wheels of justice, wheels of chariot of justice. It is the responsibility of both bench and the bar to uphold and strengthen the rule of law. An independent judiciary is a pillar of stability, and bar is the cornerstone of that stability. It is thus quintessential that interest and welfare of the bar also remain paramount. We are all along with the
Huge pendency of cases in various courts of the country. Recently, Honorable Law Minister, in response to a query from a member of Parliament who happens to be member of this bar, had informed in the Parliament that total sanctioned strength of 1,114 judges in various courts. There is a vacancy of 357 posts in various high courts. Judges are overburdened and are coping up with the pressure of enormous backlog. I happened to be in a high court recently in connection with a case and was sent to with the serial number of my case. It was 310, and total number of cases listed in that particular bench was 330. It is humanly impossible for a judge to dispose of so many cases in a day. Needless to say that cases will keep on filing up due to their non-disposal. This is one example, as the situation in other high courts is equally alarming. It is therefore need of the hour that appointment of judges in various high courts is expedited on large scale, otherwise people will lose faith in the system due to inordinate delay in disposal of the cases. In the presence of the Law Minister today, I request the Honorable Chief Justice to consider to recommend name of more lawyers, especially women, practicing in this Honorable Court as judges of the High Court across the country. The conferment of senior designation on many of our members yesterday, including 10 women, is a laudable step. We appreciate that. We are thankful to the Honorable Chief Justice and Honorable Judges in the committee for acceding to our request to renovate the lunchroom of the members of the bar, extension and renovation of SCBA office, additional ladies bar room, and extending centralized air conditioning to the library and cafeteria. But sir, ye dil mange more. We are all conscious of the fact that strength of members at the bar has increased manyfold, and the present infrastructure is not adequately equipped to accommodate all. We need a bigger cafeteria for our members, as the capacity of present one on first floor is inadequate. I therefore make a humble request, and it is also pressing need of the hour, that the hall, the erstwhile judges' library on the first floor, be allocated to us to be used as lounge cum cafeteria for our members. It has been learned that 27 courtrooms are being constructed in a new building. It will be pertinent to involve the bar at every stage of the project for the benefit of all stakeholders. In closing, let us take pride in our independence, cherish our freedom, and renew our commitment to the ideals of our four founding fathers and mothers. Let us pledge to build a nation where every citizen has the opportunity to thrive, where justice and equality are not just aspirations, but realities for all. I welcome you all once again. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Now I request Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning to every one of you, and happy Independence Day. Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Dr. Justice Chandrachud, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Law Minister Meghwal ji, my senior and President of the Supreme Court Advocates Association, Mr. Kapil Sibal, Rachana ji, Vikrant, office bearers and members of Supreme Court Advocate on Record Association, Shri Iraz Ilahi, Ambassador of Iran to India, and my brothers and sisters. Friends, today we as a nation celebrate 78th Independence Day. Our struggle from the colonial rule started from 1857, and our ancestors led the struggle, compelling the British Empire to pass the Indian Independence Act on 4th of July 1946. On 15th August 1947, we were born as an independent nation. Since then, our country has completed 77 glorious years with pride and making all-round progress in every sphere of life. We have ensured during all these 77 years our rightful place in the global scene. We have shown to the world how a vibrant, democratic, and a constitutionally governed republic can lead the nation to a new height despite challenges resulting from our large population and inevitable problems associated with it. We have grown as a nation, passing through a path filled with great challenges, obstacles, and hurdles which were inevitable. The Independence Day must remind all of us of our illustrious and glorious history of several centuries. India became a republic 77 years back and became an independent nation, but India has always been one of the greatest civilizations of the world since centuries. All of us must remind ourselves and must inform the next generation that India is not a nation which is nearly 77 years old, but has a glorious history of several centuries, and we have been world leaders for several centuries. When Columbus had not discovered America, we had universities which were world universities like Nalanda University, where people from all over the world used to come and study. Today, when we promise to ourselves a bright future and a developed nation, let us resolve to ensure that we feel proud as Indians and not feel inferior to any other country. We have achieved a stage over which, after this 77 years, we are a country with heads held high in the global scenario, irrespective of the color of the skin. We are one of the global leaders, and we resolve to continue to do so on this 78th Independence Day. I wish all my fellow brothers and sisters a very happy Independence Day. Thank you so much.
I now request our President, Mr. Kapil Sibal, President of Supreme Court Bar Association, to address the gathering.
Chief Justice of India, Dr. Y.B. Chandrachud, our Law Minister, Honorable Arjun Ram Meghwalji, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, Rachna ji, Vikrant ji, distinguished judges of the Supreme Court present here, distinguished office bearers of the Advocates on Record Association, my senior colleagues, brothers and sisters. As I was standing there, looking at the unfurling of the flag, I asked myself the question, what does freedom mean? As the flag unfurls, the winds of change make it go in different directions. It is free. It is free in every sense of the word, not inhibited by any external factors. And as I looked at that flag, I remembered the past with reflection. And I asked myself the question as to what is the future that holds for us. And if I look at the past, the ravages of the colonial rule reminds me of the fact that we, a great civilization, found ourselves competing with each other and allowing a foreign power to conquer us. The foreign power ravaged us, took away our resources. Their economy was run by the wealth of this nation. And they had no wish to leave us, except that having lost in the Second World War, they could not afford to continue to spend the money to retain the empire. And therefore it was the Labour government of Lord Attlee which decided to give up the empire, because they realized that the national movement had reached such a crescendo that the interim government that was installed in India would not last long. If you remember, the original day for independence that was fixed was in June 1948, not on August 15, 1947. But when the British realized that their interim government would not last long, they preponed it to August 15, 1947. And the date August 15, 1947 was not chosen by us. Mountbatten, who was then the Governor General here, had led a battle against the Japanese in Burma. And the Japanese surrendered in Burma on August 15, 1946. And it was the second anniversary of the surrender of the Japanese to Indians. And I still remember the words of Subhash Chandra Bose. He said, "Give me blood and I will give you freedom." I remember the words of our first Prime Minister when he said, "At the strike of the midnight hour, while the world sleeps, India will awaken to life and freedom." Those words I still remember, and they ring in my ear and will ring till I move on. That's the freedom that we cherish. And on August 15, this happened on August 14 midnight. On August 15, in his address in All India Radio, he said, "I am the first Prime Minister, I am the first servant of the people of India." This is the spirit in which we wanted to uphold the values of our Constitution. But that was the past. Let us talk of the future. Political freedom is not the only freedom we cherish. The real freedoms will only come about when our people are free of discrimination, free of inequality, free of the squalor of poverty. And the fact that there are provisions in the Constitution which require the court and Parliament to do acts in favor of certain sections of the community is an example of an admission that we are not free. We need to be free. We need to get rid of inequality. We need to get rid of poverty. We need to be allowed to empower each citizen of this country so that he can move forward. 77 years is too short a time in the life of a nation which has suffered the scourge of captivity for 190 years. We all need to take a sankalp today, here, now, everyone in this country, that I will not wait till the last man at the bottom of the pyramid says, I am free. Thank you very much.
Now I request Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal ji, Honorable Minister for Law and Justice, to kindly address the gathering.
स्वतंत्रता दिवस के अवसर पर आयोजित सुप्रीम कोर्ट बार एसोसिएशन का ये कार्यक्रम, और इस कार्यक्रम में मंच पर उपस्थित, बरसात आ रही है क्या? अच्छी बात है, शुभ संकेत है। मंच पर उपस्थित ऑनरेबल चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया डॉक्टर DY चंद्रचूड़ साहब, हमारे सॉलिसिटर जनरल तुषार मेहता जी, हमारे सुप्रीम कोर्ट बार एसोसिएशन के प्रेसिडेंट कपिल सिब्बल साहब और वाइस प्रेसिडेंट मिस रचना श्रीवास्तव और सेक्रेटरी विक्रांत यादव जी, और यहाँ की MP मुझे नज़र आ रही थी, यहाँ बांसुरी स्वराज नज़र तो आ रही थी, MP थी यहाँ की बांसुरी स्वराज, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट के माननीय जजेस, हाई कोर्ट के भी माननीय जजेस, एडवोकेट्स और पत्रकार साथियों, संविधान लागू हुआ 26 जनवरी 1950 को। तो अगर उसकी गणना करें तो संविधान लागू होने के 75वें वर्ष में हम चल रहे हैं अभी। स्वतंत्रता दिवस का ये 78वां ये दिवस है, उसके लिए आप सबको बधाई। लेकिन संविधान लागू होने के 75वें वर्ष में हम चल रहे हैं, जिसको अमृतकाल का नाम प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दिया, इसके लिए भी आपको बधाई और शुभकामनाएं। क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट से ही हाल ही में ऑनरेबल चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया ने कहा कि संविधान सबसे ऊपर है। अभी आपका ही कोर्ट है, कोट अनकोट, कहा किस रूप में था वो अलग विषय है, लेकिन कोट अनकोट ये है वाक्य जोरदार कि संविधान सबसे ऊपर है। अगर इस भावना को विधायिका भी समझे, कार्यपालिका भी समझे, न्यायपालिका भी समझे, तो मुझे लगता है देश विकसित भारत निश्चित रूप से बन जाएगा, ये मैं कहना चाहता हूं। पिछली बार ये रोहित पांडे जी क्या बात कर रहे हो, पिछली बार जब मैं यहाँ आया था तो मुझे कहा कि आप कुछ गुनगुनाते हो, तो मैंने कहा मैं जरूर गुनगुनाता हूं। तो पिछली बार भी गुनगुनाया और इस बार भी गुनगुनाने की कोशिश करता हूं। गुनगुनाऊं क्या? जहां डाल डाल पे सोने की चिड़िया करती है बसेरा, वो भारत देश है मेरा। वो पूरा गाओ तो सही भैया। जहां डाल डाल पर सोने की चिड़िया करती है बसेरा, वो भारत। ठीक 1 साल के बाद गा रहे हैं, इसलिए थोड़ा बहुत इसमें चेंजेस भी आ सकता है, लेकिन इसमें सत्य अहिंसा वाला बात जोरदार है। जहां सत्य अहिंसा और धर्म का पग पग लगता डेरा, वो भारत देश है मेरा, वो भारत देश है मेरा। हम इस भारत के नागरिक हैं। संविधान की प्रस्तावना बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर जी ने जब ये कहा कि लिबर्टी, इक्वलिटी एंड फ्रेटर्निटी, ये इस प्रस्तावना की आत्मा होगी, और जब उनसे पूछा गया कि संविधान की आत्मा क्या होगी, तो उन्होंने कहा आर्टिकल 32 संविधान की आत्मा होगी। इस आधार पर जो बाबा साहब ने कहा, इस आधार पर देश तेजी से आगे चला, ऐसी बात नहीं है। जिनका जिक्र कपिल सिब्बल साहब कर रहे थे, देखिए किस तरह की परिस्थितियां रही हमारे यहाँ और किस तरह की बातें भी रही, लेकिन एक बात कॉमन कपिल सिब्बल साहब ने कही कि प्रथम प्रधानमंत्री ने भी फर्स्ट सर्वेंट ऑफ दिस कंट्री कहा, और नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने भी प्रधान सेवक लाल किले की प्राचीर से कहा। यह समानता है। ये क्यों, क्या बात हुई? समानता नहीं क्या? इसलिए लिबर्टी, इक्वलिटी और फ्रेटर्निटी, इस दिशा में तेजी से आगे हम बढ़ेंगे और भारत को विकसित भारत बनाने का हम संकल्प लेंगे। इन्हीं शुभकामनाओं के साथ मैं मेरी वाणी को विराम देता हूं। कुछ बातें रचना जी ने कही है, वो यहां करने की नहीं है, यहां बोलने की भी नहीं है, लेकिन मैं जरूर करूंगा, ऐसा विश्वास दिलाता हूं। बोलिए भारत माता की।
Now I request Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, to kindly address on this occasion.
This one? My distinguished colleagues of the Supreme Court, Mr. Arjun Ram Meghwal, Honorable Minister for Law and Justice, Mr. Kapil Sibal, the President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General, Ms. Rachna Srivastava, Vice President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Vikrant Yadav, Secretary of the SCBA. We have in our midst very distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps, and I thank them for attending this event. His Excellency Dr. Iraz Ilahi, Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran, His Excellency Mr. Mohammad Hassan Al Jabir, the Ambassador of Qatar, His Excellency Dr. Surendra Thapa, Acting Ambassador of Nepal, and His Excellency Dr. Hamdani, Minister Councillor of Sri Lanka. We welcome you in our midst to this family of judges and lawyers, all the members of the bar, officers of the registry, and fellow citizens. I would like to begin by wishing you all a very happy 78th Independence Day. In the last 77 years, our country has conquered new frontiers of social justice, scientific development, economic prosperity, and political milestones on the path of democracy under the rule of law. But every beating heart in India, no matter their age or stature, goes back in time and fills with a deeply emotive sense of patriotism and indebtedness to our freedom fighters when we see our majestic flag flying high against the air of freedom on Independence Day. This day we honor our commitment to realize the dreams of all those who laid their lives for the country and those who lived to make it greater. When India achieved her independence in 1947, it marked a tectonic shift in global power. The sun began to set on the era of the empire, but our founding parents charted out with a single-minded focus to uplift our citizens. They were guided by the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, to wipe every tear from every eye, so long as there is suffering in this country. They were guided by the visionary Dr. Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, for whom there could be no true emancipation if there was no social emancipation. They all knew that this was not a task which could be achieved in just one lifetime, but they resolved to not rest till they achieved it. The first task of independent India was therefore for the Constituent Assembly to devise a constitution that would serve the goals of a social revolution and of national renaissance. Our constitution put the marginalized and the disenfranchised front and center in our national project of emancipation. It ushered in a reign of deliberative democracy inspired by the ideals of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. And to meet these aims, the Constitution weaved an intricate network of democratic institutions. It established a representative, responsive, and responsible government premised on parliamentary democracy and universal adult franchise. These ideas were no less than revolutionary for a country coming out of the brutal clutches of colonialism. But our nation builders charted on a historic experiment of democracy, the largest to ever be conducted anywhere in the world. They did so because they realized the vitality of democratic institutions and universal adult franchise. We all speak about the Constitution in the backdrop of the colonial era and what our country suffered. This morning, I was reading a beautifully written piece by a noted Carnatic vocalist, Chitra Sri Krishna, and the title of the piece is Songs of Freedom. The idea of liberty is woven into the fabric of Indian poetry. And what I'm going to share with you is something that I imbibed this morning and which I have, of course, known of all through the years. In 500 CE, Tiruvalluvar, in his classical Thirukkural, used three phrases. Inmayin, innatatu, yadenin, what is worse than poverty? That's the constitutional question which Dr. Ambedkar asked us. What is worse than poverty? In the 12th century, Akka Mahadevi used two words. She said, Chenna Malikarjuna, which means God resides in her heart. Now, when she said that God resides in her heart, she was not making a statement of religion or spirituality as much as a statement for the emancipation of women, the autonomy of women, the dignity of women. In the 14th century, Chokhamela, who belonged to the Mahar community, wrote that famous devotional hymn, which is folklore to all of us coming from Maharashtra, Abir Gulala Udayita Ranga Ranga. And what he meant by that was, he referred to the deity dancing outside a temple amidst gulal being thrown and saying, please give me at least a glimpse of the deity. Kabir spoke of the Nirguni Bhajan. And then, much later, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore referred to Khachar Paki Chilo, the conversation between two birds, when one asked the other, would you prefer the security of being caged to the uncertainty of freedom? Our constitution made the choice for us. We chose in 1950 the uncertainty of freedom. And what is happening today, say in Bangladesh, is a clear reminder of us how precious liberty is for us. Many of the young lawyers today, or most of them, are the post-independence generation. I myself am the post-independence generation. But many of you are the post-emergency generation. Therefore, it's very easy to take freedom for granted. It is simple to take liberty for granted. But it's important that we dwell on the stories of the past to remind us how precious liberty is and what an important role which we as judges and lawyers play as an institution in the preservation of liberty. Our freedom struggle allowed us to reimagine the framework of our governance. As everyone here would know, Many lawyers gave up their lucrative legal practices and dedicated themselves to the cause of the nation. I mentioned Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, K.M. Munshi, Govind Vallabh Pant, Devi Prasad Khaitan, Sir Syed Muhammad Saadullah, N.G. Iyengar, B.L. Mittar, among so many others. They were instrumental not only in achieving freedom for India, but also in establishing a fiercely independent judiciary. But the task of patriotic lawyers did not end with India achieving her independence. Lawyers in the bar have been a constant force of good in our country, even after independence. The courts are vital to uphold the rights and dignity of citizens. But the bar, wedded to the Constitution and the rule of law, is vital to uphold the conscience of the courts. Members of the bar are the crucial link between the people and the judges. They allow us to absorb the pain and the pulse of the people. Equally, the bar is the representative of the profession and by extension of the judges before the people. In that sense, the bar is a two-way bridge between the people and the court. An erudite and principled bar makes for a vigilant and alert judiciary. I commend the work of our bar in playing this pivotal role in our society, one which is rooted in the rule of law and the Constitution. As a judge for the past 24 years, I can keep my hand on my heart and say that the work of the courts reflects the struggles of ordinary Indians navigating the rough and tumble of their daily lives. The Supreme Court of India sees throngs of litigants from villages and from metropolitan cities of all regions, castes, genders, and religions seeking justice. The legal community allows the court to do justice to these citizens in no small a measure. Last year on this very day, I had spoken about the need for overhauling our court infrastructure. When I emphasize the need for such changes, I keep two constituents at the forefront, the citizens and the bar. A modern judiciary requires an accessible and inclusive infrastructure. The ease of lawyers to navigate the court not only allows them to assist the court with ease and efficiency, but also for them to feel a sense of responsibility towards the institution of the judiciary as its custodian. In the last 6 months, we have taken many infrastructural initiatives. The Supreme Court has extended the fiber optics internet to the lawyers' block, creating consultation rooms in the east wing of the main building. We have constructed cubicles for lawyers who are waitlisted for chamber allotments, set up a multi-facilitation center, and renovated the office of the Supreme Court Bar Association. We have also created a new lounge for women members of the bar. The establishment of a women-only space inside the court premises will enhance the ability of women lawyers to assist the court and seek guidance from their seniors. The Supreme Court has seen the merger of the two registrars' courts from the 8th of July just last month. The new registrars' court has state-of-the-art infrastructure for lawyers. A new accessibility help desk has also been set up to make our court truly a court for all. The help desk would enhance the accessibility of persons with disability, women, and senior citizens when approaching the Supreme Court. But our work has only just begun. The Supreme Court is actively building a bigger creche for childcare in Block E of the additional building, which will alleviate the problems that many parents, particularly women, have to incur while navigating their professional life with parenthood. Last evening, I paid a visit to the new creche, which is about to be opened. As opposed to 25 young infants who can be accommodated in the old creche, the new creche can accommodate 75 young children. My only regret is that I lost the time when I could have been in the creche, probably 60 or 62 years ago. Apart from the creche, the court will also see the construction of the Advocates Wellness Center, which is almost ready, the upgradation of existing facilities, and the air conditioning of the corridors lining courtrooms 1 to 5 as well as Block D of the administrative building complex. Above all, No task is accomplished without the active involvement and participation of all the stakeholders. Rachna was right that we have to take the bar into confidence, but we are taking the bar into confidence on every aspect of our development and construction work. The Supreme Court Registry works tirelessly to bring the cases of the litigants before the court, and I must express my deep gratitude to the registry led by the Secretary General, Mr. Atul Kurekar, and all the registrars who are still here present today. We have recently announced the second edition of the hackathon, which invites suggestions to improve the working of the registry. After a successful hackathon last year, in which we received valuable suggestions from the members of the bar, we are now looking for suggestions to explore solutions in artificial intelligence-based technology for improving and streamlining the functioning of the registry. There are two themes in the hackathon this year. One, how do we use artificial intelligence to ensure that the entire process of identifying defects in cases is made free from human intervention and entirely based on AI? Second, can we develop artificial intelligence-based chatbots to give simple information to litigants about their legal rights and duties? I encourage all of you to participate in this initiative and make us work better for you and the litigants. I am of the firm opinion that the legal community has a responsibility to keep the moral conscience of our society and of the courts. The bar has been responsible for the direction of many important constitutional and legal developments in our country, which have furthered the aspirations of our freedom fighters. In all the work which we have done, the central focus has been to better the infrastructure for citizens and for the members of the bar. I'm glad to inform you that the entire tendering process, including all permissions for the construction of a new building of the Supreme Court, has been completed. And we'll have a new Supreme Court building coming up in the existing premises with 27 futuristic courts, 3 courts over 10,000 square feet, modern facilities for the Supreme Court Bar Association, modern facilities for the Supreme Court Advocates on Records Association, and modern facilities for the women lawyers. Increasingly, women are outnumbering even the men in the district judiciary, and I perceive that that's going to happen at the bar as well one day. Another thing which I would like to share on such a happy occasion as this Independence Day is that we have received an allotment of 1.92 acres from the Government of India. We are constructing in those 1.92 acres a futuristic building which will include inter alia consultation rooms for lawyers, workstations for lawyers, so that a lawyer who comes to this court on the first day is not starved of space, canteens for the members of the bar and litigants, bar rooms for the members of the bar and litigants. The construction of that will also start immediately. Finally, the legal community has been instrumental in rooting the Constitution on a firm basic structure, ushering in substantive due process, protecting the dignity of women, gender and other minorities, and other marginalized communities. This festive journey of democracy and independence requires your active and moral participation. I once again wish everyone a happy Independence Day. Jai Hind. Namaste.
I wish to thank Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchur, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, and other Honorable Judges of Supreme Court for gracing this occasion. Also, we are grateful to Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal ji, Honorable Minister for Law and Justice, to grace this occasion. We are extremely grateful to His Excellency Dr. Iraj Elahi, Ambassador of Islamic Republic of Iran, then Dr. Suren Thapa, Acting Ambassador of Nepal, Dr. Hamdani, Honorable Minister Counselor of Sri Lanka, Mr. Li Jing, Counselor of People's Republic of China, for gracing this occasion. I wish to thank Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, and other law officers, Learned Secretary General, and other learned registrars of Supreme Court, Honorable Retired Judges of Supreme Court and High Court, press, electronic media. I wish to thank Mr. P.H. Parekh, 6-time President of Supreme Court Bar Association, Secretaries, Office Bearers, and members of the Executive Committee of different Bar Association, Mr. Vipin Nair, President, Mr. Amit Sharma, Vice President, and Mr. Nikhil Jan, Honorary Secretary of Supreme Court Advocate on Record Association, and other distinguished guests and honorable members of our bar for gracing this occasion. I thank Deputy Commissioner of Police, Supreme Court Security, Commandant, Central Reserve Police Force, and other staff for providing all kind of logistical support. I thank SCBA staff and registry staff for their cooperation for making this function a success. I now request all of you to kindly rise for the national anthem. मन अधिनायक जय है भारत भाग्य मराठा द्राविड़ पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे Jai. I request all of you to kindly join us for high tea.